Students, in the previous lecture, we have discussed about myopia and hypermetropia. And we have learned causes of myopia and hypermetropia and also corrections of myopia and hypermetropia. Myopia is called as near-sightedness or short-sightedness. We can use a concave lens in order to correct myopia. Whereas in case of hypermetropia, we can use a convex lens of desired focal length and we can correct hypermetropia. In the previous lecture, we have learned that and we have even calculated the focal length of hypermetropia lens, convex lens used to correct hypermetropia. And now as a beginning, we will be now calculating focal length of the lens to be used in order to correct myopia. Now, in order to correct myopia, what you will be doing generally, this is eye lens. This is eye lens. And from the eye, retina is separated by a distance of 2.5 centimeter. Now, in order to correct myopia, you should use some particular lens over here. You will be using some lens. You will be using a lens over here in front of your eye. As we know, in case of myopia, you could not see distances which are farther. Okay. So as this is least distance of distinct vision because it is 25 centimeter. This is known to you. It is 25 centimeter least distance of distinct vision. Now from this 25 centimeter, when you are going farther, like you can see some particular distance which is above 25 centimeter even. So that means you can see up to like around this particular point, say D. Till this region you are able to see the objects clearly, and this distance, it is greater than 25 of course, and this I am denoting it with D, and beyond this you cannot have any vision. Beyond this distance you could not see objects clearly, and in between these two you can see the objects clearly. We can view objects clearly, and of course this is 25 centimeter least distance of distinct vision. Now beyond this D value you are unable to see this, unable to see objects which are placed beyond this D. Now you will be using a lens in order to correct it. Okay, so for that what I'll do, you are placing an object which is at larger distance than D. That means this defect is possible as in case of myopia, this defect will be seen when the object is kept farther. So when object is farther, it cannot be seen. When object is farther, it cannot be seen. So that means, let me consider that U is equal to infinity. That means you are placing an object which is farther than D. Anywhere you can place it beyond D. So I am considering it as infinity because infinity will be definitely beyond D. So U, I am considering it as infinity. And image distance is equal to, see where you are able to see the image when you are placing object at the location of D, you can see the object. Beyond D you could not see, and less than D you can see the object. Less than C you can view the object. So therefore, if somewhere object is placed beyond D, you need to bring that object closer towards this D position. So therefore, V is equal to D. Okay, so I think this is understood clearly. You are taking object at any position that I am representing with infinity, and you are able to see the image clearly when object is placed at distance D. and even less than d also, no problem with that. So image distance v can be anywhere between 25 to d value, right? Now I'll be using lens formula. 1 by f is equal to 1 by v minus 1 by u. This implies 1 by f is equal to 1 by, what is v? V is nothing but d. Of course, this should be negative sign because you are placing object in front of the lens, eye lens. So according to sign convention, this should be negative, minus 1 by infinity. This implies 1 by f is equal to 1 by minus d. This gives you focal length f is equal to minus d, right? When you are calculating focal length, what you are getting? Clearly, you are getting focal length is negative. Focal length is negative mean we should use concave lens. We should use concave lens to correct myopia. Right? Now the desired focal length depends upon the person to person. For example, some people could not see objects which are at a distance of 40 centimeter. Then focal length f, you should use it as minus 40. For example, if a person is unable to see beyond 100 centimeter, then in such cases f will be equal to minus 100. That focal length depends upon the d value. So focal length of any focal length of a concave lens whose value is equal to minus d can be used in order to correct myopia. Students, so far we have learned myopia and hypermetropia, which are the defects in the vision. And the third type of defect is presbyopia. And this is also one kind of defect observed in our eye. Usually, in case of myopia or hypermetropia, the lens will be focusing object image either in front of the retina or back of the retina. But in case of presbyopia, what actually happens is, presbyopia is a vision defect when the ability of accommodation of the eye usually decreases with aging. For most people, the near point gradually recedes away. They find it difficult to see nearby objects clearly and distinctly. This happens due to gradual weakening of ciliary muscles and diminishing flexibility of the eye lens. This effect can be seen in aged people. Sometimes a person may suffer even from both myopia and hypermetropia with aging. Now, of course, here in the sentence itself, it is clear. What actually happens is, in case of normal eye, where you should get image should be focused on the retina, like somewhere here, it should be focused. Now, in order to focus image on the retina, definitely ciliary muscles plays major role. Those ciliary muscles will adjust the focal length of the lens. Corresponding that, you will be getting image on the retina. But as age increases, the ciliary muscles get weakened. Because of that, focal length could not be adjusted. As a result, the focal length, as it is not being adjusted, the image is being formed beyond the retina. Generally, this happens with age. Image is formed beyond the retina. If image is formed beyond the retina, what kind of defect it is? Generally, it is hypermetropia. Hypermetropia. So as age increases, usually hypermetropia is the defect which is observed generally. That is due to weakening of the ciliary muscles, right? Now, sometimes it may not be for all people. It may not be for all people hypermetropia. Sometimes even it may be myopia. That means sometimes because of weakening of the ciliary muscles, image can be focused in front of the retina. This is myopia. Okay. So due to weakening of ciliary muscles with age, the image could not be focused on retina. Such a type of defect is called as presbyopia. So some people, they can be like, they can have only hypermetropia or myopia, but as age pass on, what happens is both the defects could be seen in such people. Both hypermetropia will be there, myopia will be there. In such cases, we will be using lens where half part of the lens is made as concave, half part is made as convex. So such type of lens is being used in order to correct presbyopia. Generally, you could see when you are observing specs of the aged people, you could see like this. Like for example, this is the spectacle of a aged person, right? Generally, there could be a kind of curvature over here. There is a kind of curvature over here. This part is having different curvature and remaining part is having different curvature. So this can be convex and this can be concave, right? That depends upon our eye, left eye and right eye. So how the defect is being observed, whether it is myopia or hypermetropia. If the person is suffering from both myopia and hypermetropia, such type of lens where half part it is filled with concave lens and half part is convex lens, such type of spectacles can be used in order to correct presbyopia, right? That is the effect of presbyopia. Coming to next session, it is coming to next slide. We are now going to discuss about power of lens. Usually when you go to hospitals, when you go to vision, like test your vision, generally in the prescription you will be noted with a positive value of 0.25 or a negative value of 1.5, like that. They will be giving you prescription of some desired values that represents power of the lens which is to be used. The sight, it represents the sight, how long it is, whether it is short sightedness or long sightedness, and how it to be corrected. So in order to do that, we will be calculating power of the lens. Okay, so the degree of convergence or divergence of the light rays that can be achieved by lens is expressed in terms of power. So how convergence and divergence should be taken place by the lens, that is nothing but called as a power. The reciprocal of focal length is called as power of the lens. So simply power is 1 by f. Power is reciprocal of the focal length. And as you know, generally focal length we will be considering in centimeter. So in order to convert it like power you will be calculating in meter, focal length you will be calculating in centimeter, power you will be calculating in meter, right? So therefore power in terms of centimeter, you can write it as P is equal to 100 divided by F, and this is in centimeter. Okay, and the unit of power is called as diopter, and it is denoted with D, diopter D. And this diopter is nothing but meter inverse is equal to meter inverse. It is not centimeter inverse, it is meter inverse. Remember, diopter is meter inverse. Now you have one simple question. Doctor advised to use 2D lens. That means, what does this 2D mean? 2D mean 2 diopter. 2 diopter lens. What is its focal length? Now you are supposed to find out focal length of that particular lens. We know that focal length f is equal to 1 by p, right? This is 1 by 2 capital D. This is equal to 1 by 2. Capital D is nothing but meter inverse. Okay, this is 1 by 2 is 0.5 meter inverse. Sorry, meter. This is converted to centimeter. 0.5, 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeter. This gives you focal length f is equal to 50 centimeter. That means you should use a lens whose value is 50 centimeter. As it is positive, you should use convex lens. And as it is convex lens, what is the defect? Defect, it is hypermetropia. Hypermetropia is nothing but long sight. Right? So if a doctor is advising you to use 2D lens, what does it mean? You are suffering with hypermetropia, that means long sightedness, and you should use convex lens for this in order to correct it. Students, in next coming sessions, we will be learning about dispersion and scattering of light. As we know that white light of sun gives us various colors when rainbow is being occurred. That is the effect of dispersion. We will be learning how dispersion takes place, how that white light is being splitted into different colors. It is actually effect of dispersion. We will learn that. And after that, how does light suffer refraction? Through bounded plane surfaces. Bounded plane surfaces is nothing but a prism. How does light suffer refraction in case of bounded plane surfaces? So about these two things we are going to discuss in next coming sessions. Right. A prism is a transparent medium separated by surrounding medium. Remember that this is prism, right? Surrounding is air medium and this is glass medium. And it should have two plane surfaces. This is one plane surface, another plane surfaces inclined by an angle theta. So if any two plane surfaces, if they are inclined by some particular angle such that it is able to refract the light rays and it is a transparent medium, then it is said to be as a prism. There are different types of prism as shown in the figure. Now in this session, we are going to see how light ray will undergo refraction in case of prism, right? As shown in this figure, in this particular figure, we have a prism. This is triangular prism. This is a triangular prism and equilateral triangle prism. See, this angle, this angle, this angle, all the three will be equal. Okay. Now, when the light ray is incidented onto the prism, this is incident light ray. This is incident light ray. And this incident light ray will enter into this prism. It undergo refraction. It is undergoing refraction. And when it comes out from the other surface, once again it is undergoing refraction. Okay, therefore, from first surface it is undergoing refraction. From second surface it is undergoing refraction. Okay, and the angle made with the normal of this surface. This is normal of the first surface. I can represent it with N1. And this is normal of the second surface. There may be another normal of the second surface. I can represent it with N2. With the normal, how much angle it is making, that is called as angle of incidence. And with this normal, whatever it is making angle, it is called as emergence. And the light ray which is coming out from the prism, it is called as emergent ray, right? So here A, this is the angle A. This is angle A. And this angle is angle between two plane surfaces, and that is called as a refracting angle prism. So this is called as, also called as angle of prism. It is also called as angle of prism. And next is I. I is angle of incidence. Just now I have explained it. And next is E, angle of emergence. E, the emergent ray making with the normal angle is called as angle of emergence. And from the first surface, light ray is undergoing refraction. From the second surface, light ray is also undergoing refraction. R1 and R2 are the refracting angles, right? And next is deviation, that is angle of deviation. I'll explain this in the next slide. And the next is mu, which is refractive index of the glass medium with respect to air, or you can even call it as refractive index of prism. refractive index of prism, right? So these are the terms related to prism. Refraction of light from prism. Of light from prism. Now, let me consider this is light which is starting at this position A, and here is a point where this light ray is incidenting with the prism. Now, let me consider like P, Q, R. P, Q, R are the vertex of the triangular prism, and this point is a point of incidence, and from this point you need to draw one perpendicular. You are drawing one perpendicular, and this perpendicular from the first surface is represented with N1. This is normal. This is normal. The angle made by the incident light ray with normal, it is called as angle of incidence. I represent it with I. Okay. If suppose there is no prism, the light ray would travel in which direction? In this direction, right? So it is actual path of ray. This is actual path of the light ray. But when it is entering into prism, this is normal. It should bend towards the normal, and this is angle of refraction. I represent it with R1. Now this light ray is being refracted. Now after refraction at this point, this is another point by which it is emerging out. And here you need to drop one perpendicular. This is N2. N2 is another normal for the second surface. Okay. With the normal, it is making some angle. This is emergent ray. This is emergent ray. Emergent ray is making an angle with the normal, and that is called as angle of emergence. And in this case, this is actual normal, right? This is normal N2. This angle is R2. R2 is the angle of incidence for the second surface. So R1 and R2 are the refracting angles. Now, when the light ray is coming out, in which direction it is going? In this direction it is going. It is in the path of emergent ray, right? Now, actual path is along this way, but what is happening? Because of the effect of prism, it is changing its direction from here to here. Okay. This actual path is being undergoing a deviation. Instead of its actual path, instead of going in that particular direction, it is changing its direction to this path, right? From here to here it is coming, and in this direction of emergent ray it is going out. This angle is nothing but called as angle of deviation, usually denoted with delta. Angle of deviation is denoted with delta. This is the symbol for delta. Now, the angle made by the emergent ray with actual path of the light ray is called as angle of deviation. So angle of deviation delta is angle made by emergent ray. Angle of deviation is delta, which is angle made by emergent ray with actual path of the incident light ray. In general, I will not be equal to E will not be equal to delta, but some cases where angle of minimum deviation, that means delta if it is very small value, minimum value, if it is deviation is very minimum, in such cases I can be equal to E. That means angle of incidence and angle of emergence will be equal.